Fantastic. Okay. So first, on the agenda, the approval of the minutes of October 6, 2022. The minutes are in your packet. If you please take a minute to review, and then I will take a motion.
I'll move to approve the minutes of the October 6th, 2022 meeting.
Frank motion and seconded by Steve. Any comment? All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Fantastic. Next, let's move it to Cynthia for the executive director report.
Thank you, Kyle. Well, first of all, I just want to say that I was not here, but we had a very successful trick or treat. Emily's team counted how many people, and I think it was about 1,265. Yeah, so that was great. And I know Brian Coleman was staffing our table, and he was very pleased with how it went too. So many thanks to Denise for all her work on trick or treat. I know Ryan, I heard Ryan and his kids were there. So
out of curiosity, because we did it last year too, and the kids had fun in the washout, but I'm just curious, what was the number last year in the rain?
not that much.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just curious if it was like 300 or something. Yeah. Yeah, it seemed several times healthier this time around. The weather was glorious, so.
Yeah, I think so. So, yeah. So moving right into our next event, we do have Winter Welcome coming up on December 3rd. And I do, if I can find it somewhere in here. We are looking for some help, and if I can't, I'll send it out to everybody, but we are looking for some help at Winter Welcome. It's December 3rd from 4:30 to 6, I think. We'll have the publicity will go out soon. Kathleen just sent out our business digest, so that has information about how people can get involved, but a couple of new things, but the usual singing and community displays, decoration of trees with a contest. And we're also reaching out to a wide range of cultural groups to participate in Winter Welcome as well. With respect to the round 2 of the Business Relief Fund, we did get about 20 applications, and I'm going through them right now. The deadline was recently, and so we'll be working with a small team that includes Ryan and some folks from the EDC to review those applications. So again, it was a variety of locations geographically. We also added in nonprofits, so we did get some nonprofits that also applied. And then one of the other big projects that we've been working on is the signage plan. So this is the comprehensive signage plan that's funded through some of the town's marketing dollars. We're close to getting locations set, and we'll do a field study on November 30th and December 1st. Kathleen in our office and board member Sean Vasington are also working with me on this, and Sean is looking to make sure that they're coordinated with the Yukon signs, and Sean will also help with downtown stores. We've also been busy with the 4-town economic vitality group. So that's Bolton, Coventry, Tolland, and Mansfield. We're going to be holding a summit in January, which you'll be invited to kind of look at our progress since we last met in 2019 before COVID. We do have a new logo, and we will have a marketing plan to market the region. So stay tuned for that. We're also starting the second year of Restaurant Week with Wyndham, and it will be February 20th through March 5th. So we're excited about starting that again. I think it was successful last year. We learned from some of the things that we did last year and how we can continue to improve it. And I think that's it for my report, unless anybody has any questions. And I think I'm going to turn over to Kyle to talk about our next board meeting and our holiday reception. And I found my Winter Welcome sign-up list, so I am going to pass that around.
Great. Thank you, Cynthia. So our next board meeting is scheduled for December 1st. And typically the December meeting, we hold that concurrently with the winter or with our holiday reception or social. what I'm proposing is that we cancel the December board meeting. We don't, Cynthia and I have discussed, we don't really feel as if there'll be any pertinent business for that particular meeting. And proposing that we would hold the holiday reception on December 8th, the following Thursday. And that would be at the UConn bookstore on the UConn campus in the reception space on the second floor. We have that space reserved from 4:30 to 6:45. And then we have tickets to the women's basketball game at 7 o'clock there in Gamble for any of folks that would, any of our members that would attend, board members, et cetera. So, fairly comfortable that we can accommodate a healthy number of attendees to the basketball game and certainly the reception as well. So, as long as there are no concerns or objections to that, that would be our plan moving forward. So rather than a December 1st board meeting, we would simply have a holiday reception at the bookstore and then attending the women's basketball game. So anybody that wants to attend the reception and not go to the game, that's fine. But we will insist that people attend the reception in order to go to the game. We don't want anybody just floating in for the game, if that's okay. Any comments, concerns, questions?
The attendance list, so we've often extended this to the emeritus members of our board and some other contributors. Will they still be included?
Yeah, so we're trying to combine the membership benefit that this is, as well as some of the folks that we invited to the social. And yeah, definitely our emeritus board members. And if there's other folks, if you can let me know, Frank, so we can make sure they're on the list.
This sounds like a very generous contribution by the university.
Oh, we heard the mayor's office was going to pay for that.
Oh, you
Is
did?
that?
on
Ryan
the
said
mayor's,
he had
on the
access to the
mayor's
budget
budget.
We're taking it out of Tony's salary.
Yeah, right.
We're very, very happy to have and recognize the folks at that particular event. So it should be a lot of fun. I hope. Well, great. Well, I'm gonna turn it back to you, Cynthia, for our next agenda item.
Great, thanks, Kyle. So Sean could not be here tonight, but wanted to, in his place, go over agenda item number 5. This is the review and approval of contract with UConn Landscape Architecture Program. So this piece came out of one of our strategies in the strategic plan, which was to continue to improve the public spaces in the downtown, particularly at Betsy Patterson Square. So some of you know, we engaged the UConn Landscape Architecture Program twice before, in 2012 and 2016, under a stipend that went to the students. And so this project would basically inventory our current street furniture, so our tables and chairs, our benches, and then develop a comprehensive plan for our street furniture, including a shade structure, which I think we've all talked about, losing the oak, and just, some of our shade went away and it didn't give a lot of shade to begin with. So we do need to try to do that, because I think a lot of us realize that it's causing problems in terms of people enjoying being out on the square when it's the hot heat of the summer. So the $4,000 stipend would be for students, for student travel, for workshops. In 2012 and 2016, it was $3,000. And so it's consistent with, given inflation, et cetera, with what we had provided in the past. This would come out of the town square fundraising budget. So as you probably will recall from previous updates, quarterly updates from Tony and myself, we do have about $12,000 left in that account. We've used it for a couple of things, like signage on the rails around the square that point to the fact that you can put bikes there, for Philip Lodewick's plaque, things like that. So this seemed like the appropriate place to take this funding from. So there is a motion in your packet, or open for discussion, and there is a motion in your packet.
Any questions? If there aren't any questions, we'll take a motion. Should I read it? I move to authorize Executive Director Cynthia Van Zelm to sign the agreement for design engagement with the Yukon Landscape Architecture Program and authorize expenditure of $4,000 for this engagement.
So moved.
Okay. Any other conversation? All in favor? Any opposed? Fantastic. Thanks, Cynthia.
Thanks, everybody. I think it'll be a great project for them and obviously will benefit. So look forward to starting with them in late January.
Great. Okay. Next on the agenda is the approval of the 2023 meeting dates. Again, item number 6 in your packet. Everybody wants to go through their expansive calendar for 2023. Make sure you're all free on August 3rd and other pertinent dates. And at such time, if someone could make a motion to approve the meeting dates.
Just one question. Are they checked with religious holidays?
Yes, I did.
Okay. I'll move acceptance of the
And I thought
calendar for
we had
23.
found one holiday, but I mean, I could still take minutes off the recording if I'm not there or something.
What's the
Oh,
holiday,
we
Josh?
did. I'm sorry, Josh. I didn't realize that. I thought that we were set. Is there a holiday in there that I need to change?
I was thinking that April 6th was one of the 2 nights of Passover.
Okay. Find my calendar.
Can I retract my motion?
Yeah. Usually the first 2 nights are the big deal for most people.
Okay, so it sounds like we should move that. So my apologies.
You could, or I could just take minutes off the video.
No,
I
we
really
have a
don't-
practice
No,
of
that's-
not
it-
meeting on Jewish holidays.
Yeah, yeah.
So do we want to just table the April meeting and figure out a date?
Or
Let's see.
move it to the following week.
Well, I think we probably would need to check on building availability and
Right.
other things. And so why don't we revise the meeting dates? We'll say the April date is to be determined.
All right, I'll move the calendar as proposed with the exception of the April date, which must be revised to accommodate a holiday.
Okay, can I have a second? Emily? Any other conversation, questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Fantastic. Okay. We're all set on meeting dates. All right, next we move into, I feel like these meetings come faster and faster. Like, we just keep, I think we're having board meetings quicker than we can have committee and working group meetings to keep up. So we'll move into report and action items from committees and working groups. So obviously there is some information in your packet. There are 2 specific groupings within item 7. I'm going to take the liberty of starting in whatever order I want, and I'm going to start with governance. Frank, if you don't mind, just to cover, because I know that there's some info in there in the packet relative to our recent governance, and there is a motion as a part of that as well.
Okay, so there's item number 7 on.
Frank, do you have
That's
your
the-
microphone on? And then you have to hit push. Okay,
We have 2 number 7, so Cynthia, are we going to cover the first one, or do you want me to go right to the review of the governance committee? Okay. The governance committee, we met on October 24th and we started reviewing some documents that are in your packet that includes the board involvement options, the member expectations, and then a director nominator candidate form. And we spent a lot of time on this with the governance committee. It has a lot of experience, and we've really talked about how these have been refined over the years and are a good guidance for us as board members, but also for the staff to how we should be engaged as board members. So I thought it was important for us to review this because usually you don't see these, right? These are the documents that staff uses, and then you see it when you're being recruited, and then you don't see it again. And I thought it'd be helpful for us to refresh these. So let me just go for the first one. This is the board involvement options. And this is really a trigger list of ideas of how you can be involved. I think we've said before that, you know, you're a stronger board member if you're actually out there and participating in activities, rolling up your sleeves and participating in committees, going to events or participating in events. So we want to encourage both of those. We want to make sure that you're each visible in the community, and that when you're attending events, you're showing support not only to the staff, but also your fellow volunteers. Under acting as a partnership ambassador, we did add, I think this is, you can see it in the track changes here, be a customer at downtown stores, businesses, and share your experience and pictures on social media. That was a comment that was brought up that, you know, being visible and present is one thing, but we were sort of missing some of the other, the social media aspects, and that we should be recognizing that role as part of our responsibilities as well. On the board member expectations, I don't know if at top, it might be good to update that to November of 2022 after we reviewed it as a date. But, you know, I want to make sure that we're being mindful of the best interests of the partnership in mind when we do these things. And you have a checklist here, and think about your involvement. Think of it as a reset for you too, as a board member. What could you be doing? And then also, as you're going through this, think about, all right, who do we know in the community who could also fill these requirements? Because then that leads you into the next form, which is the nominator form. And this is the process by which the governance committee collects very important information from board members or referrals of potential board members. Start thinking, and at this point, just start thinking about it, right? Who could fulfill these types of responsibilities? Mark them down, and then at our next meeting, it'd be great for you to send that. The next step is to send them to Cynthia. We do a little bit of a background. We review those in the governance committee, making sure we keep a good balance, as well as understanding the priorities of the partnership and the expertise needed. And hopefully that leads us into a timeline which we can advance names to for the annual meeting that's in June. So, thank you. For those of you online, Cynthia just passed around some of the nominator forms in case somebody has the urge right now to fill one out and has somebody in mind. So, if there's any questions, I think I do want to have somebody move this as just an official approval of that we've reviewed this as a board.
There is a motion on the memo on item 7.
I would make the motion, but I'm having some technical difficulties in getting to the actual language of it.
I'll do it, Tony. I make a motion, I move to approve any changes suggested at the board meeting to the board involvement options, board member expectations, and board of director nominator candidate forms.
Second. Okay.
I will second.
Okay, Rachel second. All in favor? Any opposed? Fantastic. Thanks, Frank, and the
I
governance committee.
Did have
Yep.
one question.
Yep.
What, do we have a vacancy? Or is there a need for another?
No, there isn't, but there's always one around the corner. And I think, I think we definitely, as a governance committee, have spent a lot of time discussing the need to sort of build up a roster of potential candidates of sort, so we can only badger poor Sarah Dufresne so many times. She will break down eventually. This is being recorded. So yes, she will eventually join the dark side. But no, I think it's important for us. Again, I think what we found is just having that conversation potentially with people about if there were an opportunity. I almost like that conversation better than, hey, we've got an opening on the board, we need to fill it yesterday, right? More so, hey, have you ever thought about it? If you're interested, there's some committees and working groups that you could be a part of first, and then if there were an opening type of thing. I think it takes a little bit of the pressure off.
I just want to add that the governance committee also looks over the other working groups and committees. So if there's need on the festival committee, we're trying to fill that. So it's not always just a first step going right to the board. We like to sort of vet them, potential volunteers with their involvement in other activities too.
Thanks, Frank. Great. The rest of item 7, be any reports from or action items from other committees and working groups. Emily, anything from Celebrate Mansfield?
We had a really productive dinner at Chang's Garden to get feedback from all the area captains and volunteers that kind of helped organize it. So we will take that feedback as we start to plan the next festival.
Fantastic. Thank you. Tony, anything from finance and growth?
No, we didn't meet, but there will be something coming up fairly soon because by December, we will have some form of a proposed budget.
Fantastic. Thank you. And I have nothing to report from the executive committee. For any of, Sean's not here, obviously. Steve, anything from your point of view on the business owner engagement working group?
Yeah, I guess the only update I would have is we held our second networking event, which was directly after our last board meeting. Was nice. It was a little bit more intimate, a little bit quieter. There wasn't as much, there weren't many other people in the space. It was just us, which was kind of nice. There seemed to be a lot of good conversations going on, but it was definitely a little bit of a lighter crowd. So that was something that we talked about, how do we want to maybe think about some changes for next time. So, but otherwise it was well attended and everyone seemed to be having a great time. So a lot of good food and good conversation.
Excellent. Great. Well, thanks. And Emily, thank you very much to you all for hosting. It was great. And no updates on my end from sustainable funding. So
Well, I have a question about the social. I was a little bit concerned with the lack of attendance. And I'm wondering, does anybody know why? Are people losing interest in this? Or
Tony, this is Frank. I'm on the committee with Steve. One of the things we observed was that it makes a big difference depending upon what time of year you do it. So the first one we did during the summer, it's a lull. People aren't as busy. You do it during the school year, and all of a sudden these business owners are busy. I mean, they were having to break away from their work to come over. So I was glad to see them. It was also the first one we did was in an establishment that had a lot of other patrons. So you couldn't really tell. It sort of blended. And
wondered,
actually,
yeah.
yeah, and then when I was looking at it, it's like, well, no, actually, we had a lot of repeat customers, for our group. So it actually wasn't as bad. There was a perception of, I think, just because we were in a small space, but all the conversations were good. And I think there was, we're just going to take those things into consideration for the next time.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and Tony, the other thing I would call out is, I was happy, Ann DeLiva, our interim provost, made an appearance, and Lloyd Blanchard, our interim CFO, both UConn officials took the time to come by. I think especially Lloyd, he spent some time engaging with a couple of the business owners, talking to folks, and almost stayed an hour, I would say. And it goes a long way, as we start to talk about, increased asks of town and or UConn relative to commitment to the partnership. So, so for folks like that seeing, and I think that's something to consider, Tony and Ryan, relative to any town officials that we think we might want to target for future events as we move forward. Again, I think for the business owners, it's really helpful. I think first and foremost, we absolutely need, whenever we're picking a date, Steve, for the next one, it starts with the property owners, when they can make it, when they can be in town for it, and frankly, when they can pay for it, and host it, because it's time for the property owners to be engaged in that particular social aspect as well. They need to start being seen a little bit more by their tenants, rather than not just when they're collecting the rent. So I think that would be an important next step relative to that.
Are they aware of that fact?
Oh yeah. And now it's on the record, it's being recorded. Anybody, anything else relative to the social event or any of the other working group or committee work?
I just had one other update under the promotion public spaces group. So we have been talking about trying to enliven the windows for the available space. And so in the interim, when we weren't able to get some art up there yet, we do have, at I think Kara or Sean's suggestion, we do have window clings that half of them have arrived. So of snowflakes and kind of a village scene. So we'll be doing those in the spaces along Wilbur Crossway and Dog Lane and Royce Circle, as well as in the Nash Zimmer Transportation Center. We'll have probably a village scene there. So it will hopefully just make things look a little more filled and vibrant. So that's a little bit of an interim step till we get to a larger step, and hopefully we won't have to do that for too much longer.
And actually, if I may, just on that topic, I think we maybe talked about it a little bit last year, or maybe a new topic, I'm not sure with this group, but one of the things that we've been talking about for the better part of a year and we're implementing now is we're putting in more power boxes, more receptacles in the street lights in the downtown, so that we can actually expand our winter illumination display. Bring it deeper into the downtown, Royce Circle, Dog Lane, Wilbur Cross. So we didn't have really ways to tie into the power that was there in the street lights. And now we do. Our facilities folks have been kind of chipping away at it, adding it here and there for the last few months. We're actually looking to do that too, or we are doing that too, I should say, in Mansfield Center by the intersection with 89. So we have some decorative, street lamps there too. So anyway, moral of the story is, I think people like the winter light. It's on display, obviously, for several months into March Madness kind of season. And just, it's a dark time of year and great to bring light into the downtown. And hopefully where people see that, they'll be drawn to it. They'll buy coffee, buy a meal, walk around, all that good stuff. So.
Will Wingstop potentially get some window decoration as well, or is that not included in that?
I don't think we included Wingstop in our inventory, but that's a good point, Colby. All is not lost.
There seemed to be some lights on in there and some action off and on over the last couple of months. Is something happening?
Maybe.
They still have a temporarily closed sign in their window, don't they?
Is that Wingstop?
Wingstop.
Yeah, they're not temporarily closed.
Yeah.
But
And I am not temporarily sad.
there is, yes, but there's definitely has been activity there. So, we're optimistic that it's not going to be a Wingstop. Sorry, Josh, but it should very
It's
well be
okay with
something.
me.
It should be something soon, we hope.
At our last meeting, one of the property owners mentioned we might hear something about a new tenant. You
Yeah.
haven't heard?
We had coffee with them today, and
It's still under wraps.
we're very close,
Okay.
supposedly. We were hoping to have a big announcement here at the board meeting, but that's why none of the public showed up, because there was no big announcement. But still very optimistic and hoping for some news here in the next week or two. Yep.
I have a question about window art. Historically, the middle school would do some Halloween themed painting at the Starbucks building. That could be a nice way to get some art on vacant windows.
Yeah, we haven't had a lot of luck lately, to be honest. So, but Denise and I will keep pursuing it. So, but yeah, thanks, Louis.
Great.
Haven't had much luck with the owners or with artists.
With artists. But we'll keep working on it, as a team. So one of the suggestions was to try to offer some incentive. And so we started with that, didn't hear back from that. So we'll keep working at it. That working group will keep working at that piece.
Excellent. Okay, well, thanks everybody on that. The last official item on the agenda is the always popular correspondence and communications, which is in your packet.
Thought you were going to say the always popular adjourn.
No, we know that part. So yes, please read all the great articles that Kathleen and team collect on behalf of the partnership for your reading pleasure.
I'm sorry,
yep,
Kyle.
Cynthia.
So you probably saw that Dog Lane in their newsletter, it is their 10-year anniversary in December. So Kathleen and I have been talking about that. So stay tuned.
Excellent. Does anybody else have anything
Can I go way back to the beginning?
way back? Sure.
Because Colby and I weren't at the last meeting. We should have abstained from the minutes. You don't have to. How would I even know what was said? Oh, okay.
Plus, there's a recording. Obviously, when you miss a meeting, you watch it, don't you?
We actually had popcorn and watched.
And so,
Okay.
I'm sort of insulted.
Just
I have to
making
be
sure I'm
honest with you.
I
following.
heard it ended on a cliffhanger.
I thought we not only had a live audience, but had a recorded audience, and evidently, we get any metrics on that, Josh? Downloads or anything like that? No, it's okay. You don't have to.
Yeah, last month's meeting is in negotiations to be renewed for a second season.
That's wonderful. Perfect. I'm gonna need your login info to Netflix. Okay, great.
You can't use someone else's password anymore.
Not anymore, exactly. They shut us down. On that note, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Colby motions. Steve seconds. All in favor? Any opposed? Has anybody ever opposed adjournment? Fantastic. Only at Tony's meetings, the town council, right?
Only by mistake.
Exactly. Great. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining online.